Ladies and gentlemen, those who will come and pick up this platform, I know it is a Sunday. Usually we pick up the platform at about 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, but we've taken 44 minutes and we cannot continue to wait. The topic of today is very, very important. It is important because African Union will be going to elections next year in February. It is not very far. We have less than 7 months. And the candidates for this have lined up themselves. And we shall see. We want to look at what exactly goes on. How do we come to the electing a chairperson to replace the other? What are the what are the methods followed? Why has Africa been zoned in two zones, Eastern, Northern, Western, and Southern? How can we achieve unity when we have zoned ourselves into Anglo-Africa and Franco-Africa? There's a Francophone and Anglophone. These are some of the issues that the candidates, if they have their people, should come and listen. Some of them want to tell us that they know more. But I'm telling you, I've taken part in the campaigns. I took part in the campaigns of 2017 or 2016 when we were electing, sometime there, when we were electing the current chairperson, Dr. Mahamat Faki. It is sad that the candidates, the type of election, the setup, brings in a country that has money and a country that wins elections, sponsored by external forces, wins that election. Morocco, for example, in the past election, Morocco, for example, are you hearing me properly now? Famba, are you hearing me properly? Are you hearing me properly, people? Give a sign, a signal.
I'm hearing.
And Mr. Famba, are you hearing? Then it should be on the side of your network, not my network. Check your network. So, we have a problem. The formations that are colonial, the colonial formations that Africa finds itself in, follow us up to the election time. They follow us. We discuss the same things. We follow the format. France tells us people find themselves in every African election of the continent. There is always an emergence of the so-called French-speaking candidate and English-speaking candidate and other candidates. So today, I have to come out very, very openly and we discuss this because it is the time for Eastern Africa. And the Eastern African chance is this one. What are the countries in Eastern Africa? The following are the countries in Eastern Africa: Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda, Burundi, South Sudan, Somalia, Seychelles, Mauritius, Madagascar, Djibouti, and Ethiopia. Those are the countries that we call, plus Comoros, I think so. Comoros, Seychelles, Madagascar, Mauritius, those are Indian Ocean, plus the mainland, Tanzania, Uganda, Kenya, South Sudan, Rwanda, Burundi, Djibouti, Somalia, and Ethiopia. That's the Eastern Front. These countries are supposed to deliver a candidate, and their candidate will come from among those countries, the ones that they call Eastern Bloc of African Union administrative purposes. Now, in this Eastern Bloc, 4 candidates have come up from Mauritius, Madagascar, Djibouti, and Kenya. Among those, only Kenya is the English-speaking country. Now, when we go as heads of state, when the heads of state arrive in Addis Ababa, they tend to look at colonial formations. The idea of colonial formations comes on a very serious note. It comes from our colonial masters, the French-speaking countries like West Africa. They are called ECOWAS. In South Africa, the southern part of Africa, they are called SADC. The northern part of Africa, they are called the North African Treaty, something like that. And then there is what we call Islamic States of Africa, which are 33 in total. Now, the politics is going to play around those regions. Then in East Africa, we have the East African Community. And then we have IGAD, Intergovernmental Organization, that is situated in Djibouti headquarters. Now, these formations have been very detrimental to the unity of Africa. We created them for block to block unity of purpose, but they have become block to block destructive elements of unity. Look at East Africa Community, for example. East African Community has never, if you ask people in Africa or East Africa, where is the headquarters of East African Community? He will tell you it is in Brussels. Because most people think it is European Union community, European community. Some people don't know where the headquarters are. Because most people in East Africa have not been given civic education. They have not been sensitized on the situation of the East African community. What does it do? What services? Where can you use it? Can you travel in East Africa without prohibition? These are some of the things that we need the AU to fight. We need the AU to strengthen. We need the AU to make it workable. We are not going to keep quiet whether we have few. These messages will be recorded, people will play them back, and they will find the truth. It is a long journey for a candidate from English-speaking country, given that you have 3 candidates from a French-speaking nations, backed by most likely French. France will back Djibouti. You know very well that France cannot do without Djibouti, and Djibouti cannot do without France. Why did the candidate then come up? Why don't we as East Africans settle on one candidate and give that candidate a chance to lead us through the situation that we are in today? Ladies and gentlemen, we don't have much time. We don't have much effort. If we don't realize, we shall end up having, you have to Ghana 34, 2/3 of the 55 nations. Of course, some 4 nations or 5 nations or 6 have been taken out because of the military coups. Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso, Guinea-Bissau, no, Guinea-Conakry, and Gabon, then Sudan. So you can't, those are not going to vote. They could send, they don't, their delegations, they can come and see as observers, or they have been suspended. They don't even come. They don't even appear there. So these are some of the critical issues that we must look at. Any candidate in Africa must look at. Any candidate on this ballot in 2025 must look at in February. If we don't look at these factors, they will divide our African Union. Do they affect the elections? Yes, they do. The colonial formations in Africa do affect the elections of any African institution that falls under African Union. I submit, therefore, that there are many things that we can do between now to correct. There are many things that heads of state can change. The criteria of elections, although they have put a method of round 1, round 2, and round 3, if you don't get the 32, the 34 heads of state, even if you are the first one with 31, you don't become the Secretary General or the chairperson of African Union. That situation is now cancelled, completely cancelled, and new people are brought in, and it is re-advertised for people to take a job at. Ladies and gentlemen, the situation, therefore, in African Union presents a very tactical manner. It presents what might happen to this African Union. What can we do to change things so that we don't feel, so that we are not disunited? We are not united at all. Look at all the protocols of African Union, from the Malabo Protocol. Look at the wars. Look at the internal strife in Nigeria. Biafra people have asked for a referendum. Nobody has given them a referendum. People in Amazonia, Cameroon, have asked for a referendum. From Resolution 1608 of 1961 of General Assembly that commanded that a referendum should be held, and once the results of the referendum were held, Amazonian people have been killed. As we speak now, they are being killed. As we speak right now in Nigeria, There is nothing called, let me tell you frankly, and I'm always frank, I speak my mind, because there's nothing you will do to me. At my age, I've reached a time to go home. If God calls me today, I'll go. I'm not bothered, because I used to fear when my children were young. But now I speak my mind. My children can also contest for seats anywhere in the world. I will speak my mind. You cannot talk of unity when in Nigeria, there is no Nigeria, ladies and gentlemen. As we speak right now, the situation in Africa, in Nigeria, is so worrying. The situation is so worrying. It is not there. Aeroplanes are being hijacked. eh? People have picked aeroplanes. eh? Buildings have been confiscated. eh? Beliefs have taken property. This is a country with a population of 200 million people. We expected them to help us, to guide as a shining star, but it has become a fading star of Africa. Everything wrong has been coming from there because of bad leadership. Ladies and gentlemen, the elections of next year then pose a threat of divisions that will be seen if we don't talk about it now. If Raila Amolo Odinga, Mauritian foreign minister, former Madagascar's foreign minister, Djibouti foreign minister, if they don't sit down, we might not be able to garner the necessary vote to move forward. That's why, for me, my candidate here, my candidate is well known, and I've put I don't need permission from the Kenya government to go and campaign for a candidate. When my country, Uganda, His Excellency President Museveni has told me to come to help Raila Amolo Odinga. That's it. Is my country has endorsed Raila Amolo Odinga. I have nothing. I can't oppose, because that is a foreign policy of my country. It has said it will give the vote to Raila Amolo Odinga. So the people who are running around maybe saying they are the ones campaigning, it is not. You need other people. I was there during Amina Mohammedi's campaign myself. And the words that I want to tell you people here, especially you Kenyans, hear me. Hear me. The method that you are using again will bring us tears. And for me, I don't fear to say it. Go and kill me if you want. I've gone through ICC. I struggled to defend ICC people. Nobody was speaking in Kenya. Famba, you know it. I feel so emotional when people that you defended cannot even say, how are you? I feel so emotional. But because I'm older than all these people, I'm older than Kenyatta, I'm older than everybody except Muzaura. Yes, on that committee, I'm older. On that Ocampo 6, there was only one man who was older than me. That was Muzaura. The rest are younger than me. Therefore, I've seen a lot of things than they have. I've seen wars in Africa. I talk with my strength. I don't need to beg anyone. But when we speak the truth and tell people, during Amina Mohammedi's campaign, people disregarded my advice. And then we came back crying. There's someone there who cried tears. I saw another lady, tears dropping. I just picked my bag quietly. When I came out of the hall, when I saw second round, my president, the one that I talked to, Dr. Matsanga's friends on the continent of Africa. Number one president was Robert Gabriel Mugabe. May his soul rest forever in peace. The man stuck, voted up to the last minute. He voted, is one. I brought 8 people whom I talked to, 8 good presidents. Mugabe has died. The successor is my friend, a great friend for 24 hours, years now, Emerson Mnangagwa. He will not say he doesn't know me. I don't need an introduction to him. Kagame voted up to the last minute. Museveni voted up to the last minute. Our neighbors that we went to, I want to shock you. Some neighbor that we went to liberate did not vote for Amina. They didn't. So you can see it is very tricky. So if we do the campaign the way we are doing now, we might have a very big problem. And that big problem can cost us the seat. But that is up to you Kenyans to arrange. This is a Pan-African debate. I don't discuss Kenyan issues. I discuss a Pan-African issue, a debate where Africa is, is involved. Sorry. Ladies and gentlemen, why did the 3 candidates from the French aligned nations, who played a role to bring them on the surface? I can safely tell you Kenyans, they were brought in by France. There is another problem. Islamic states of Africa. Who are the members? We have 30 nations in Africa that are Islamic states that signed as Islamic Organization of Islamic States of Africa. That's another organization. That organization has 30 members, 30 presidents, therefore, including my own country, by the way. We are not, Muslims are just 2% or 3% in our country. But Uganda signed to become an Islamic State organization, member of the Islamic State of Africa, in Africa, during the Idi Amin days. And they gave us a university. We have an Islamic university, the only one in sub-Saharan Africa. In my own town in Mbale, most of its students, some of you have been there. So we have remained members of Islamic States of Africa as members. There are 33 nations on the continent. ECOWAS. ECOWAS, the leader of ECOWAS is President Tinubu. And you have seen of late what President Tinubu is doing. He is pro-France. He doesn't even go for treatment in the United Kingdom. He goes to France. Is more with Total Oil than he is with Shell BP. That has brought problem in my friend Geno's area of, of Biafra. That brought a war in 1967, those 2 companies. So, frankly speaking, this is where we are. ECOWAS, how many members are left there? 3 members of ECOWAS are out. They won't vote. So we have Gambia, we have Ivory Coast, we have Senegal, we have Ghana, we have Nigeria, We have Togo. We have Togo. We have Cameroon. Yes, Cameroon. No, we don't have Cameroon. Neither Chad. Chad is not ECOWAS. There are some other, Sierra Leone, Liberia. I know all these countries by head, 54 of them. I can name them. I can name their presidents. Now, if you look at ECOWAS, 3 countries in ECOWAS are gone. Guinea-Conakry. Okay, we also have Guinea-Bissau. Then we have Cape Verde. Don't forget Cape Verde. Some people don't know that Cape Verde belongs to Africa. They think it's a Portuguese. We have Guinea-Bissau. We have Equatorial. No, Equatorial is in Central Africa. Down is an organization there. So we have, basically, we have these countries. That are going to determine the fate of every candidate who will put himself in. That's ECOWAS. Let's come to SADC. SADC has 16 countries. 2 countries in SADC have put their candidature. Country number 1, Madagascar. Country number 2, Mauritius, with a very clean record of no corruption. The only country on the African continent where there is no single corruption. Number 1 in Africa. Corruption-free area. Country number 3, Djibouti. You know whom Djibouti, when Djibouti talks, who is talking. If Djibouti is talking, you know the powers behind Djibouti. Djibouti has always opposed Kenya at all places. It has always made it very difficult for Kenya to get its trophy without competition. So in SADC, now we have a problem. Those 2 countries belong to SADC. Mauritius, and always these countries vote by block vote. They come